They
I'm
don't
not
even
sexist.
have a. I know you're not, but they don't even have a shot.
I grew up the only boy in a family of all women. I understand what you're saying, but not everybody, honestly, has the same skill. Not everybody has the same interest in the sport. I think the women should be paid more. I do. But if the men...
You're right that not everyone has...
All right, guys, so we got to talk about some news about CNN, straight from CNN themselves, because apparently they are beginning layoffs amid economic uncertainty as their parent company, Discovery, is cutting costs. Now, apparently this is a part of Discovery's effort to get CNN to go in a new direction, okay? Because CNN, in my opinion, they seem to be overwhelmingly left-leaning. They are a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party. It is obvious to everybody. They thrived during the Trump era because they thrived off of Trump derangement syndrome. Now that he's not in office, they're struggling, like a lot of these liberal media news stations, because, again, they don't have somebody to outrage over anymore. Now, despite this direction from CNN to apparently try to become more neutral, you have hosts like Don Lemon, who, by the way, it seems like he would have been cut from CNN had he not had a couple of Infinity Stones of wokeness, aka being black and being gay. He actually came out and said that CNN was never liberal in the first place. Take a look.
You've got a really hard job, which is running CNN. The word on the street is that you guys aren't allowed to be liberal anymore. Is that the case?
I don't think we ever were liberal.
What?
Yes, I don't think we ever were liberal.
Not me saying that. That's the people out there saying that he's not letting you be liberal anymore.
Well, listen, I think what Chris is saying is that he wants Republicans, sensible Republicans. He wants us to hold people to account, but he wants people to come on and feel comfortable with coming on and talking on CNN. And appearing on CNN. So if you invite someone in your house, you want to make them comfortable, but also by the nature of what we do, we have to hold people to account.
Yeah, except you never hold Democrats accountable for anything, right? You let them get away with everything, and you carry water for the Democrat Party. That's exactly what you do. And you guys got to understand, Don Lemon is coming at this from a very progressive perspective, in the sense that he's saying that CNN was never liberal because they're not far left enough. Like he actually feels like CNN might be a moderate, right? Even a conservative network because of how far left he is. So CNN is not even liberal to him because he's that far left. I believe that's what he's saying. I hear that all the time from the progressive left, and there's no doubt in my mind that Don Lemon is a progressive. That or he's delusional. Probably both, right? If you are a progressive, then you're probably delusional. But with that being said, Don Lemon actually had a moment of not being delusional, right? As he got in an interesting debate with two of his female co-hosts over the gender wage gap and the fact that men's sports is more popular than women's sports. And I want you guys to actually listen to this debate, this conversation that they're having here, because in a rare moment for Don Lemon, he's actually going to be the voice of reason in his argument against these two feminist co-hosts who essentially are arguing that women's sports is not as popular as men's sports because women's sports has been systemically discriminated against. And that's why women's sports is not as popular as men's sports. And Don Lemon here is going to have a moment of truth where he's just going to keep it 100 in terms of why men's sports is more popular than women's sports. Take a look.
Makes more money. So the men's 2020 World Cup total prize money is $440 million. Compare that to the women's 2019 World Cup total prize money. It's just $30 million. So essentially, the women get to split a larger part of a much larger pie. That is what's going on here.
But Harry, the women's team has been more successful than the men's team.
It's been far more successful. So just because something makes more money doesn't necessarily mean it's necessarily better, right? So if we look historically speaking, the women's World Cup titles, they have won 4 since 1991. The men's World Cup titles, they've won 0 since 1930. So yes, the men's tournament brings in more money, but when it comes to the U.S., I'd make the argument that the women's team is far more responsible for the boost in popularity and size.
All right, I would make the exact opposite argument. I know everyone's going to hate me.
Go ahead.
But the men's team makes more money.
Hey.
If they make more money, then they should get more money.
Why does
If
the men's team-
the men's team makes more money because
You know why?
because people are more interested in
But
the men.
guess who takes part of blame? I have a big issue with this, guys. WNBA, same thing's happening to them.
There's
until
also more
media,
interest in the
hold on,
NBA,
hold
though.
on, hold on. Until big media companies, big tech companies, advertisers invest and put them on their airwaves more and allow
understand
people.
what you're saying.
And allow people to see it more and gain more fans. Then you will push toward more equality. But if they are blocked in so many ways and not invested in as much,
guys are,
they
I'm
don't
not
even
sexist.
have a. I know you're not, but they don't even have a shot.
I grew up the only boy in a family of all women. I understand what you're saying, but not everybody, honestly, has the same skill. Not everybody has the same interest in the sport. I think the women should be paid more. I do. But if the men...
You're right that not everyone has the same skills because the women are better skilled.
Well, the women are better skilled against other
drop.
women.
They-
But if the women played the men, they
Why?
wouldn't
What?
be winning the way that they
What?
win.
Okay, I'm not
All
going
right?
to get into.
So,
I'm
but
not even
just
going to get
saying-
into that argument.
I'm just saying, if the sport makes more money, that means there's more
But why
money
does it make
available.
more money?
Because people are more interested in
No,
it.
because they see it.
When I
Right.
go to a
It's been a
sports
men's
bar, guys,
directed
am I wrong? You guys don't want to say anything.
True.
I will just.
When I go to a sports bar, if there is a women's basketball game on, I'm just being honest.
Which is
I'm just telling
on
the truth.
air less.
People will say,
We literally
can you
get
flip
to
it
see
to the
it
guys?
less.
I don't want to watch this. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just speaking. What?
Harry, what were you gonna say?
And so you cannot make people become interested in something that they are not
But you
interested
have
in.
to show it to them. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
let
the
Harry
only thing
win.
I would say is
No.
you can't make people interested in things that they aren't. But look at the young women who are participating in high school soccer. Those
They should
numbers
get
have gone
paid
up
more money.
tremendously.
I'm
Yes,
not saying that
I
they
won't
shouldn't
get into
get paid more
economics of it,
money.
But I would just say in terms of fan base, here in the United States, the women's fan base has been climbing ever so higher, at least if you look at the participation numbers.
You're
in
making
high
my
school
point.
soccer.
So I'm saying they should get paid more money. But if there's more interest in the men's and more money is coming in the men's sports, those men are entitled to that more money.
But I don't
That's
think
just-
you're looking at the root of the issue, which is why are people more interested in the men's sports? Because it's been
Because it's more
historically...
interesting to watch.
It's not true. That's-
you got. Hold on. Come back.
I'm
come
kidding.
back.
That was a joke. I didn't
No,
mean
no,
that.
hold on.
that's not
I
true.
did not mean
I will
that.
tell you, I find
look,
nothing
I
more
take that back.
boring
I'm joking.
than
That's
watching
not
these
true.
men's U.S. games. The women, if you watch the women, that's so exciting. You go back to 1999. I remember I was coming back on the Jersey Turnpike when the women won that 1999 World Cup tournament. That was so exciting. The fact of the matter is, just because something makes more money, it doesn't necessarily make it a better
is
product.
exciting.
The
And
women's
Thank you,
product
Harry.
It
is
is
significantly
exciting.
better in the
It
United
is
States than the
exciting.
men's
I'm
product.
not saying
It's
that
just
it's
a fact.
not more interesting to watch.
gonna
That
have
was
to leave
just
it
a
there.
joke. But there's more interest in the men simply because it is what it is.
Wait.
I mean, I don't.
Do you want to finish your point or you want to move
No,
on?
she's trying to
I'm talking
move on.
Caitlin.
I actually would like to move on because
Let's
I
move
think
on.
we have a lot of news to get
Let's
to.
get to the
This is a
news.
very,
Hinton,
very
thank you for
important
that.
conversation, I think. It's it's about the dollars.
No, but it's about the historical aspect of why men dominated sports and why people paid
I
more
think
attention and
people
invested
are-
more in that. And
There's
now
more money in the men's sport. It is what it is. I'm
But
sorry.
that's the problem. That's what we're saying. All right, coming up, this.
Yeah, CNN was never liberal, according to Don Lemon, who is facing backlash from two feminists and a simp, right? Who might be gay, like Don Lemon. So you got two feminists, a simp who might be gay, and Don Lemon, who apparently is not a simp, but he is gay, right? All arguing about men's versus women's sports, the gender pay gap, and why men's sports they tend to get paid more than women. And Don Lemon is 100% correct. And it's a shame that Don Lemon has to even declare that he's not sexist before basically stating the truth, okay? Because apparently the truth is sexist. The truth, which Don Lemon stated, was that men's sports has more interest. This is why they get paid more. And if they have more interest and they're generating more revenue, then they should get paid more. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. That's how it is. But the feminists, because they believe that there's no difference between men and women outside of a social construction that has been pushed on women in society from men, they really do believe that, well, the only difference between men and women is the fact that women have been historically discriminated against when it comes to sports, when we're talking about funding, advertising, et cetera, et cetera. And my argument against that is that that's just, some of that may be true, but that's not the reason why women's sports is not as popular as men's sports. Because if women's sports actually was a better product or even an equal product to men's sports, women's sports would be generating just as much money. There would be just as much interest because ultimately sports is about entertainment. And because, like Don Lemon mentioned, we live in a capitalistic society. Again, if women's sports was such a great product, it was just as good as men, if not better, according to these women, right? Women are more skilled, okay, according to them. It's just a fact. According to them, it's not a fact, it's a lie. Advertisers wouldn't need to be guilt-tripped into putting advertising behind women's sports. They wouldn't need to because there would be a market for it. The market would be so overwhelming, there would be so much demand that they would get the advertising revenue and funding regardless. But because there's not a market for it, because there's not demand, that's why they don't get the money. They may be getting money now, but that doesn't mean that there's a positive return on investment. They're doing it as a way to woke virtue signal. Companies are doing it as a way to say, hey, you know what, we're going to burn money on this, but hopefully the woke virtue signal from it is going to help us, right? It'll help our, social score or whatever, right? That's why they do it, right? It's like the reason why they spend money on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not that it helps the bottom line. It's that them saying that, hey, we are diverse, we have equity and inclusion. It gives the perception that the company is a good company, and hopefully that will lead to more people buying their product or whatever, right? That is what the theory is. That's what the theory is. But ultimately, it comes down to entertainment and the disparity in skill set between men and women. The fact that men are stronger, faster, more athletic, it makes the men's product better because it's more entertaining. Entertainment is the determinant of product quality, right? That's just simply what it comes down to. It is much more entertaining to watch the NBA than the WNBA. Would you rather watch men who are able to dunk or women who can't dunk and all they can do is make layups, right? I'm just saying. Men can do much more in the NBA than the WNBA, which makes it much more exciting. Like Don Lemon said, you've never walked into any bar in America and there was a men's basketball game on and the bar decided to play the women's basketball game. And they said, nah, we can just gonna keep it on the women's game, right? No, they're gonna tell the bar, hey, look, can you turn to the men's game, right? Turn that women's game off, okay? You've never seen anybody walk into a bar where all men's games on and a woman's game is on, but they're not actually playing it at the bar. And they say, hey, turn the men's game off. Let's turn the women's game on. It never happens. It never happens. The reason why it never happens is because women's sports is simply just not as entertaining because women don't have the same skill set. They're not as athletic. They're not as strong. Therefore, it's not as exciting to watch. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just how biology works. It is a function of biology. This is why we have gender roles. Gender roles exist for that reason. And because men's sports is more entertaining, it generates more revenue. There's more interest, not just from men, but also from women as well too, right? Women would much rather watch men's sports than women's sports. That's why they make more money. It's simple. But again, feminists, because they're delusional, they reject the obvious and they want to go with this conspiracy that, well, the system is against us. The system is rigged against women. That's why women's sports is not as popular. And this is why women should get paid more, right? Well, where does the money come from? Well, it comes from men, right? Well, why does it come from men? Because people watch men more. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So again, rare W for Don Lemon, rare moment of common sense and logic from Don Lemon that you just don't see enough on CNN, which is why the show is failing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.